What's good? We're Live Fit, Live Well podcast. I'm Ian Oliver with my boy,
Ryan Searsaw here.
and this is what we're going to be talking about.
All right, guys, so we're going to talk a little bit about health, wellness, fitness, nutrition, and more. Just how you guys can implement some of these things into your everyday lifestyles for a healthier, happier, and more fit you. So some episodes will be Ian and myself talking to each other and to you guys about anything in this sphere, as well as doing interviews with health professionals, coaches, trainers, physique competitors, powerlifters, doctors, physical therapists, nutritionists, gym owners, you name it, just to put you guys around the people that can provide you with good, solid information. This might be about fitness, this might be about wellness, this might be about business, just kind of help you out in all atmospheres here. First thing we talk about during this podcast is athletes and how they should train. Should you just work out? Should you just practice your skill? Or should you do both?
Or nothing.
Or nothing. Second on the list here, we have muscle soreness. Does being sore and working until failure, does that mean that you're having a great workout?
Or are you an idiot?
One of the two. Find out which one.
And we also will touch note on anxiety and stress and how to find ways to get rid of some of that out of your life.
Get rid of, avoid, eliminate, however you want to think about it, cope with. We touch on all of this, so make sure you listen to that. And the last thing we go into is intermittent fasting. Should we go times without food?
I don't want to.
Do we eat too much?
I love food, man.
Will we live longer if we eat less?
Yeah, check it out. Check it out.
Make sure you find out. All right, guys, and welcome back. So to start you guys off with a little motivation today on your drive to work or wherever you're listening, we're going to talk a little bit about being 212. Some of you might be familiar with this, some of you might not. So pretty much goes like this. At 211 degrees, water is hot. Very, very hot. At 212 degrees, water boils. With boiling water, you can create steam, and steam can power an entire train. So the point is here to go the extra degree in everything you do, whether it's fitness, your relationships with people, your job. Go that extra degree, because that one extra degree can make the world of difference. That can take you from being hot to and not being able really to do anything except be hot to being able to power a freaking train, right?
Right.
So there's two ways you can look at this. That's one way. And another way is just not to give up, because 211 and 212, there's not a big difference between the two, right? That's 1 degree difference. So don't give up, stay on your path, and put in the extra work. Be 212.
All right. B212.
So one of the things that I think is important to talk about is training for sports, whether this is high school athletes, college athletes, whatever it is. What should be your priority in your training? Understand that most sports involve a skill. So to get better at that sport, you must get better at that skill. For example, basketball. You need to be a good shooter, right? You need to be able to dribble the ball with both hands. You need to be able to pass, things like that. So that should be your first priority before anything in the weight room, right? So after you develop a fundamental baseline level of a skill, then we should hit the gym. Now, when we're talking about the gym and the exercises, things we should be doing, that's going to depend on your sport also. So first, the skill. So for a basketball player, putting up shots in the gym, dribbling both hands. If you want to run, if you want to be a marathon runner, you should probably get good at running long distances, right? And you can implement that with any sport. So focus on the skill first, and then strength is just going to add to that skill. So we should not just be in the gym strength training and think, okay, I'm going to get a lot better at football, right? Yeah. You need to be moving your body in a way that you would move your body during the game. So some of the exercises we can do in our sport, let's say we're doing football, for example, you can do hang cleans, squat variations, lunge variations, just to kind of develop that overall strength. But we also need to be moving, right? So we might want to do some plyometrics. We need to do some unilateral single leg work, some jumping, things like that are going to transition into the skill. And also, while we're building that strength, we can stay coordinated.
Right.
I've seen too many times where someone will take the all winter and all spring just to hit the weights, and they don't do any running, they don't do any agility movements, they don't work in other directions. And then when fall comes around or summer comes around and they're ready for football, they've gained 20 pounds and now they can't run. And
Yep.
now they can't move well.
Yep.
So that is a huge problem that needs to be addressed. Don't just be killing it in the gym and thinking you're automatically going to be better at your sport. You need to do both. So if you just train your skill and you're not strong, you will suffer in that sport with your lack of strength.
Right. Yeah.
But again, your strength should come secondary to your skill. And you should also make sure you're moving in all planes of directions. Left, right, front, back, up, down.
Yep.
Just so you can always develop that body awareness and coordination as well. Do you have any thoughts you would like to add to that?
No, I fully agree. You just got to prioritize your training. I mean, if you're a lineman, you're going to want to be explosive. So if you're in the gym training, you're going to want to train those explosive movements like deadlift, power clean,
Exactly.
squats.
Right. Your big time movements.
Anything that's going to make you more explosive.
And if you're somebody, now this is pretty interesting to go this route. If you're somebody that could be a first round draft pick or something like that in the NFL, I don't know that you even need to do those exercises that have a high risk, right?
Right.
So if you're gonna hurt your draft stock if you get injured in the gym, I would do more of the low risk, high reward exercises,
Yep.
single leg squats, walking lunges, plyometrics,
Yeah.
things like that, pull ups. So yeah, there's a lot of those exercises you can use. When you're training for a sport, most of the time, you don't need to be doing tricep skull crushers or single arm bicep curls or anything like that. Focus on the movements that you're going to need your core to get involved, moving in all directions, and something that's going to produce explosiveness and overall strength gains. All right, so we had a couple people ask us about intermittent fasting. This is something I've been practicing for some years now. It's getting pretty popular in the fitness realm. And there's a couple ways you can do this. So to start, fasting is basically just going a period without consuming calories. And most of the science has shown that anywhere between 14 and 20 hours is going to be optimal for fat burning. Women tend to be able to go a little less in duration, so they shouldn't go as long as men, especially when starting out. So if you're a girl and you're thinking about fasting, I would start with the maybe 12 to 14 hours, see how you feel. One of the side effects, if you feel your body temperature dropping, go ahead and break your fast and eat some food. This does take a little bit of practice, but the science behind fasting, there's a lot of benefits. When you really think about it, though, it is more kind of primal in how we used to eat back in the day during this evolution. So we did not have all this access to food that we have now. So a couple of the benefits, Ian, go ahead and list off a couple of the benefits fasting has shown.
Some of the benefits fasting has shown is insulin sensitivity. We also have cellular repair, your metabolic rate. There's a lot of things on here. Growth hormone secretion, leptin sensitivity.
So it's pretty interesting, the cellular repair. Now,
Yeah.
cellular repair is usually more of a long-term fast, but essentially what they found out in studies is that when you fast for a longer duration, more of like the 36 to 48 hour fast, which are a little more extreme, I would never recommend starting with those, but your body actually kills off some of its own cells and creates new ones. So it kills off its weaker immune cells and creates new ones, so it actually improves your immune system as well.
Yeah, it's crazy. And on here also, kind of the opposite of what I would have guessed with fasting is maintaining and gaining lean muscle. I would have figured not eating would be quite the opposite.
Right, and
Which is fascinating to me.
That is very interesting too, and that just goes to show you that we do not need to eat these 6 meals a day that we tend to do. But just to go over a couple techniques of how to fast. So there is a popular method out there called lean gains, which that is just eating in an 8-hour window. So you'll simply go 16 hours not eating and 8 hours eating. So you'll only eat, for instance, between 8 and 5. I think that's 8 hours.
Yep.
Get me wrong. Ish. I don't know. 8 and 4. Whatever. You get the point.
9 to 5 would be
9 to
8
5.
hours.
There we go. So yeah, that would be your eating window. You would not eat outside of that window. Some people do it one time a week, and others do it up to 7 days a week. Really, not a whole lot of negatives with fasting as long as you're still trying to get all of your calories in, hitting your caloric goal, things of that nature. There's another way called the Warrior Diet, the Warrior Fast. That's going 20 hours without food and 4 hours
Wow.
in an eating window. So that one's a little harder to adhere to.
Yeah.
And that one you would definitely do less frequently. And the way that I do it is, or I'll also back up a little bit. There's something called the every other day method, where you fast for 24 hours, then you eat whenever you want. Fast for 24 hours, eat whenever you want. Again, that was a little more extreme. Wouldn't recommend it. What I do is I basically set a minimum number of hours that I'm going to fast. So, and usually that number's at 16.
Yeah.
If I feel okay after 16, I'll drag it on to 17. If I feel okay after 17, I'll drag it on to 18,
Right.
all the way up till 22, 23, 24 hours. So whenever I feel hungry or I feel tired or anything like that, then I'll tend to break my fast and eat then.
Yeah, and a simple technique to just kill 8 hours of that is sleeping.
Exactly, right.
A lot of people, I think, don't understand that you're fasting when you sleep also.
Yeah, that is important to note too, because if you were to wake up and then try to fast for 20 hours, I mean you'd be fasting for like 28 hours or something like that. So, yeah, the sleep definitely counts. Whenever you take your last bite of food, that is when your fasting clock starts, and you're gonna sleep through half of it most of the time. When you are fasting, though, it's important to drink a lot of water. You can drink black coffee, no creamer, no sugar, no BS. And you can also put some salt into your water for cell hydration on your prolonged fast.
Yep.
A side effect of intermittent fasting is fat loss. So on some longer duration fast, you will enter a state of ketosis, right? Which is what you do during the ketogenic diet, where your body is simply out of glycogen to use for fuel, and it starts to burn fat as fuel. So it's a great side effect. There's also been studies that have shown the less calories that we eat total, the longer we live. So fasting works well for that too. And just eating during your circadian rhythm, which is just your body's natural sleep-wake cycle, is going to promote longevity as well. So just eating when the sun is up until the sun goes down, rather than at midnight, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., things like that are going to help you live longer and attribute to your overall wellness. So definitely make sure you give that a try if you don't try fasting. If you have any more questions about fasting, feel free to let us know, because there are multiple more benefits and multiple more ways to do this as well. So let us know.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this, and you might be potentially following my Fat Makes You Fat vlog, so if you're not, check that out. You'll be able to see a kind of an inside look to fasting, me trying to switch over to keto, and etc. So give that a look.
We will post a link in the show notes as well. So all you have to do is click the description and click on the link.
Yeah. So basically, overall, fasting can be a giant benefit to your lifestyle.
It is a giant benefit.
Yeah.
If you do it, you're going to benefit. No hesitation.
What do you think about anxiety and stress?
So this is a really deep topic we could go in on for a long time.
As we breathe in diffuser fumes of happiness.
That's true. Yes, we are practicing dealing with that. I think stress and anxiety somewhat go hand in hand, and I think they have a huge effect on a lot of people, and I feel like it's hidden in a lot of people as well. Anxiety, I used to think that was just something that was made up in people's heads. I had a couple girlfriends who would tell me that they're having these anxiety attacks, and they would literally become a different person, and I'm like, this is just something in your head, just think positive, blah blah blah. But then I dealt with some anxiety myself, and I realized how it can really kind of take over and control your life. And a lot of that comes from just built up stress, or being scared to do something, or just not being happy with where you're at, and things like that as well. So
yeah, what do you think about it being more prevalent now? It seems to be more of an issue now than it used to be.
I would say definitely. It's definitely more of an issue now. I think a lot of that has to do with just the total amount of stress on the average person. I think that has definitely increased in the last 20 years for sure. I think it's harder to make a decent living now. I think with inflation, things like that, that it's just it's a very stressful environment that we live in with our cell phones, computers, and we never kind of get to experience ourself, right? And be present in the moment and kind of figure out who we are and what we're about.
Right. Yeah, I mean, for me too, somehow I've developed OCD and anxiety through just my job.
I think the workplace has a lot to do with it too.
It's really changed me. Not because I wanted it to. It just, I don't know. Just putting myself in that environment every single day has really changed my behavior.
Absolutely. And a kind of a side effect of anxiety is you can kind of think yourself into anything, right? I mean, your brain is more powerful than we've even become to know. You can think yourself sick. I mean, I've seen people do that on multiple occasions. I've actually done that to myself.
On a side note, what do you think some ways to maybe be more conscious of that and become aware and almost take that away, like meditating, for example?
Yeah, I do think that is now on the rise since we do have so much stress in our lives. I think that things like sleep deprivation tanks, sensory deprivation tanks, things like cryogenics, cryotherapy, and meditation, massage therapy, things like that, meditation are all kind of on the rise because those are some things that let us be present, right? That let us be in our own mind without any output coming from anywhere else. It's just you, your thoughts, and you kind of get to figure out the type of person that you are and what you're going to be. So the thing that you don't want to do is just let stress build up, and then eventually manifest, right? So we've all had somebody lash out or heard of somebody lashing out over something that might not even be a big deal, but since they've just had so much stress, been carrying so much of that they just kind of lash out and have a stress rage type thing.
Yeah, it's almost like you let something piss you off, and then you just hold on to it, and it manifests itself in your brain so much that finally either way you let it out,
right?
And not in a good way majority of the time because you've held it so long.
Right on. There's also, there's other things you can do too. Just finding stuff that you enjoy, right? So stuff that you're passionate about. Working out obviously is reducing stress. Some people binge watch TV. Might not be the best route to go, but that's definitely a route people go. You can do a lot of different things. Just to, I wouldn't say run away from the stress, but to relieve some of the stress.
Yeah, there's a lot of good to essential oils. A lot of people don't use them. But for example, we have this diffuser running right now, and it's for mental focus. I have one out in the kitchen that's running for pure happiness. There's like frankincense that eliminates anxiety. There's
there's a lot of
lavender.
Dude,
try sleeping with some lavender going on.
Yeah.
You sleep so much better. It helps motion sickness. It helps, when you're pregnant, if you got some lavender going, it will help your stomach aches. You're wanting to puke. Essential oils are huge, but I don't think they're very prevalent in society.
Not yet. I feel like we're getting there as people start to strive for health and well-being and happiness more rather than just working in this monetary kind of system. So I definitely think that is a huge plus for people, is to just kind of go out of the box, try some stuff that's different. Don't just stay in your let me work from 9 to 5, go home, bitch at my husband, bitch at my kids, make dinner, go to bed type life. Like, understand that like you're living life and you're living it one time. So don't let these things that you can't control, don't try to control them, because then that's when stress really starts to build up.
Yeah.
So
have a hobby. Don't just work to work.
You definitely need to
have a life.
Find a way to be your own person.
Absolutely.
Right?
Have a hobby. Do something outside of the realm of working or being an adult or having a family. You can still do all of that and in the same sense enjoy certain things like working out or just building things. For us, we're podcasting currently.
And this is also a great way to relieve stress, to be completely honest with you. This is I almost feel like this is a safe place behind the mic, right?
Yeah.
So you get behind the mic and you're just like, you're chilled out. We're not worried about anything else going on.
Mm-mm.
We're worried about what we're talking about and the message we're trying to give to people right now. So there's so many different avenues that you can go to kind of relieve stress or even eliminate stress, right?
Yeah.
And it's also important to note that sometimes stress is important, right? So you can have good stress too. Not all stress is this evil thing.
Right.
So
I mean, when you go to the gym, you're constantly putting stressors on the body.
for sure.
And
I mean,
that's
you
not
need
necessarily negative stress.
right. You need stress to adapt as a person, right? So I mean, even hard times. Maybe you're going through a hard time with your job and you're working towards a promotion, right? But then you get the promotion. That stress was good because it helped you adapt and become better to receive a promotion or to get to that point. So
And adaptivity is adapting is always a good thing.
yeah, definitely.
Frequency for the win. Want to explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're talking about fitness and working out and all this fun stuff, and really, I guess you could think of this as anything. So think of, okay, for example, you do music. So let's think of who's one of the best bands you know.
Well, in my opinion, like
Yeah,
underground bands,
yeah.
you probably don't know, but like the Plot and You is one of the best bands I love.
Okay, The Plot and You. Never
Yeah.
heard of them, but I bet this still holds true.
Yeah.
Would you say that The Plot and You practices more music than anybody else? Or not than anybody else, but than people under them?
Yeah.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So they do it frequently, right?
They live it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So when it comes to weightlifting, working out, training, things like that, the more you do something, the better you're going to be at it. NBA players have probably played more basketball than anybody else, and they're the best at it, type of thing. So
It's like practice makes perfect.
exactly, same type of thing,
Yeah.
right? So when we're talking about frequency, as far as like working out multiple times in the same week with the same muscles, you're going to experience benefit there too, right? So let's look at a mechanic or somebody that works on cars or a plumber, right? They have these
Right.
big forearms, right? Because they're always cranking on stuff down low underneath cars, cranking on stuff, big forearms. Mailmen, big calves, nice legs, always walking, always on their toes. So when we decide to work out our legs 3 times a week as opposed to 1 time a week, we're going to see more benefit, right? And with that, you need to change your intensity. So most people have the 1 day a week leg day where they feel like they're going to throw up and they can't walk for a week after that, right?
Right.
Never touch legs again. So you send this huge signal of just damage, right? You're
Yeah.
boom, 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 everything you do. A lot of people will do, well, let's just say someone does 21 sets of legs on a given leg day on Monday, right?
Right.
So instead of doing that, taking the frequency principle, we'll split those up into 3 different days and we'll do 7 sets each day.
Yeah.
So those 21 sets, I would argue that probably more than half of those sets are kind of bull crap, right? Whether it's the efficiency of the workouts or if it's the exercise selection.
Yep.
I would say that somehow, some way, either they're not efficient because you already burnt yourself out, or you're doing these little small exercises that aren't going to carry over. Whereas we incorporate frequency. Okay, let's do 7 sets of squats. Let's do 7 sets of walking lunges.
Yeah.
Things like that.
I feel like a lot of people think that they just have to go ham one day.
And that doesn't make sense, right?
And I feel, yeah, you're right. It's like if I spread it over 3 days and I do 3 exercises this day, 3 sets of whatever for each exercise.
And you can think of it.
And you still have the same amount of frequency that you would that one day.
Everything else being the same. Yeah. Volume, the weight, lifted.
But you have more rest within those days.
Exactly, because it's not intense.
Mm-hmm.
You're working out frequently, so you're constantly sending a message like, okay, we need to grow, we need to adapt, right?
Absolutely.
So it's just like eating healthy. Like you want to eat healthy 1 day a week, or you're gonna see more benefit from eating healthy 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Or 6 days a week, or 7 days a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the same exact principle.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's for muscle growth, especially because I mean we're gonna hit legs like I said, and then not touch them for a week. So we're just sitting there.
Yeah, and I
with our
think
legs doing
a
nothing.
lot of that has to go with how people portray, like how people are given information. Like, you have to hit every muscle group: chest day, back day, arm day, leg day.
I'm glad you said that.
So when you're doing that, well, I can't get leg days 3 times a week if I'm hitting chest, back,
Exactly.
shoulders. You know, you can
Exactly.
only get it in there once.
Why? I don't understand why we don't use our body more synergistically in the gym. So why am I just gonna go to the gym and work right here and right here, my bicep and my tricep? What's the point of just doing that? I have this whole entire body to take care of.
Mhm.
But where that whole thought process stems from is these bodybuilders, right?
Yep.
This is big time in the bodybuilding world, bodybuilding atmosphere, that, oh, we need to have back bi day, we need to have chest tri day, we need to have leg day, and we need to do everything once a week or whatever.
Right.
And it's important to understand that these people, first off, probably have way better genetics than any of you guys working out, for one.
A lot more time.
A lot more time. They make sure they're hitting their calories a lot better, more times than not. And no matter what these guys do, they're going to grow, because all of these bodybuilders, all these people that we see on stage are freaking juiced the heck up.
Yeah, they're on some kind of gear.
So you are not, like, you're barely the same species in terms of being able to adapt and respond to certain stimulus. So that kind of ticks me off.
Yeah.
But again, with frequency too. So if we look at the bodybuilders, even, right? So the best bodybuilders in the world on the biggest national stages, right? So Mr. Olympia,
Phil Heath.
old.
Yeah.
Kai Green,
Old.
They're all old. There's not a young person that, and this is just frequency over time, right? So this is just doing it for
Yeah,
a
you're talking
long
guys
time.
that have been lifting for 20
Yeah,
years.
perfect,
plus.
even more. Yeah,
Yeah.
perfecting their craft, and that's just what it takes.
While
to get
on
there.
gear.
Exactly, while on
While
gear.
training 4 or 5 hours a day.
Yeah, these guys gain 1-2 pounds of muscle and they're
Yeah.
happy at the end of the year.
Mhm.
But yet people want to go into the gym now and say, "Oh, I'm going to gain 20 pounds of muscle this year." Sorry, you're not. No matter what happens,
Yeah.
you're not going to do
And that happens a lot. That's so unrealistic. I'm going to bulk just the winter. I'm going to bulk for 4 months, put on 40, 50 pounds. What fucking value?
See,
what
this
good?
this leads well into our next topic here,
Yeah.
actually, which are mini cuts and mini bulks,
There
right?
you go.
So, let's say, yeah, because there is a limit to muscle growth, right? So if you gain 40 pounds over 6 months, you didn't gain 40 pounds of muscle. I'm sorry. A
Right.
lot of that, more than half of that, more than 3/4 of that is fat. Whether you think you're getting bigger or what, I mean, you're obviously getting bigger.
You're gaining weight.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
That does not attribute to your muscles being bigger.
Doesn't no.
So, I mean, if you're going to be smart about it, you will do mini cuts and mini bulks, right?
Mhm.
And you can break those up however you want, but to maximize your gains, we need to send a signal of adaptation just for a little while, and then change the signal that we're sending. So once we send that signal over and over and over and over again, our body stops adapting, right? It's just
Yeah.
taking in the calories, doing what it does, right? Same thing with your metabolism.
Mhm.
So it's going to burn X amount of calories because it's expecting this amount of work and this amount of input coming in. So when you switch it up, maybe you go 4 to 6 weeks on a bulk, then you go 4 to 6 weeks on a cut, or something like that. I mean, you could even do 10 weeks on a bulk, 8 weeks on a cut.
Yeah.
I mean, you can figure it out. It's going to be preference, but that's going to be for maximal gains.
And-
Switching it up is going to be key.
And in doing this, you don't necessarily. I mean, like you going back to, training for a purpose. You don't have to just bulk cut. Summer's coming, I'm cutting. Winter's coming, I'm bulking. It doesn't have to be correlated with seasons.
That's for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, for example, I'm going to bulk because I want to put on muscle. Whether it be a year-long bulk to try to gain that 1 pound of muscle, or a 6-month cut to slowly get there. Now, oh shit, it's May.
Yeah,
I
gotta
have
look
to.
good
I
for
got
July.
1 month to
Yeah.
look good for July.
You see this a lot in this world because you see people that come in like, oh, I gotta look good for a wedding. Oh, I gotta
Yeah.
look good for the summer. Oh, I'm going on vacation. Things like that. So you see this all the time. And like you can get there. I mean, especially when you're cutting, right? Because that's a lot
Well,
easier to do than
And it's all so dramatic. It's like you're not giving your body time. So then you're disappointed that you didn't reach these results because you didn't set a realistic fucking goal.
right. And usually after the wedding, after the event that they're training for, is when they will end up gaining more weight than they originally ever
Yep.
had on. Because you can't really go at it with this on the wagon, off the wagon, on the wagon, off the wagon. And another reason I like the mini cuts and mini bulks is because it switches your nutrition too, right? So you should not be eating the same way 12 months out of the year.
It's exactly the same. You shouldn't be working out the same.
Exactly, it's the
12
same
months
thing.
out of the
It's
year.
just sending your body a different signal of adaptation.
Mhm.
Now, should you eat well-sourced food for the majority of the time,
Yeah.
all the time? Yeah, but you can. There's a lot of well-sourced food, right? Whether it's carbs, fat, protein. I mean, you can play with that a little bit based on your goal, right? So, I would definitely recommend not staying in a caloric surplus or deficit for too long, because then you'll start to see detrimental effects. And I've seen a lot of people really bulk up and do it for a long period of time, and they get so used to eating all this food, so used to working out a certain way, that
Yeah.
when they try to cut, they can't get back to even where they started before their bulk, because they're just their eating patterns are different.
Well, and it's funny too because you go on these bulks and it's like, okay, I'm no longer. I'm guilty. I'm no longer gonna do cardio.
Oh yeah,
I'm no longer gonna do abs.
Yep.
I'm no longer going to work out as hard with longer rest periods. Like all of a sudden you're doing 5-minute rest
Yeah,
periods in
you
between.
don't want to burn as many calories, because
Right.
yeah.
But then you go back to cutting. All of a sudden you're gonna do cardio. So you're not very well adapt to cardio. So it takes
It's
a
a
longer
complete
period of
180.
time. Yeah, you're just like, boom, I'm gonna change it up.
Yep.
Instead of having this slow transition, it's like even me doing this keto thing. Like I'm not jumping to 60 carbs from 400 just
Certainly,
like that.
certainly, yeah. And even if you do switch fast, even if you go from bulking on Monday to cutting on Tuesday, but if it's within like 4 to 6 weeks, it's a lot easier to do rather than bulking the entire winter and then trying to cut.
24-hour transition.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because then it's like you've already developed all this. You're gonna start feeling like crap because you got to work out a lot more. Your caloric expenditure is way higher. You're not eating as much. You're gonna have headache. I mean, you're gonna have a lot of things working against you at that point. So,
Tell me something. This is a side note from what we're speaking about, because you train a lot of people. Do you get a lot of clients that feel that muscle soreness leads to the fact that they have some kind of progress? Like, I'm so sore, therefore I have accomplished something.
this is a huge issue, not only with clients but with trainers, right? So you have a lot of trainers that
Try high in frequency to
they try to thrive off this, where it's
get that
just-
soreness.
where they have the highest intensity possible, where the mechanics of the person's squat might not be good, but they're going to make them do 100 squats just because they're working really hard and they're going to feel really sore, and then in turn exactly what you just said. So yeah, because I take more of a full body approach and more frequent approach, like we mentioned earlier. So a lot of times I tell my clients, hey, I don't expect you to be super sore. Maybe at the beginning, just because this may be new to
'Cause
you,
your body's
depending on
new,
what you've
yeah.
been doing. But again, I'm not going to have you in here doing a leg day where we do 20 sets of legs and send you home and then have you limp in here 4 days in a row after that. But I definitely have had clients that have said, I'm not really sore. Can we make this a little harder? And I'm just like, hey, relax. Like, I understand. Like, you have associated that with hard work.
I
and
didn't work out
progress.
well enough because I'm not sore.
Right, which is not ever, or I mean, it can be the case, obviously, but with a good trainer and someone that's going through a program, I mean, it's not the case. Just being really sore has no regard to having a successful workout. That
Right.
They don't correlate with each other, right? So
Right.
if you want to be really sore, go run a marathon. Did you do something good for your body? If you just all of a sudden decide to run a marathon, probably not. Probably something really bad for your body.
Yeah.
But you're sore as shit.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean it was good.
Doesn't
you know
mean
what
it's
I mean?
great.
I can get you as sore as you want to get. I can get you more sore than you want to get, but does that mean you're going to come back the next day?
Well, and
Probably not.
and if you're that sore, it's gonna take your body even longer to get back to norm, so you can go have a good workout again.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And especially when you know how the average
It's like,
person
my
eats.
legs are so sore for 7 straight days, I can't work out my legs again.
That's an issue.
Yeah.
That shouldn't ever be the case.
Yeah.
Unless you are that's a sign. Being sore is a sign of damage.
Yeah.
Not adaptation.
And then, I mean, if you don't have the right nutrition to replenish and fix those damaged tissues,
And most people don't. So
then
as a
then
trainer,
it prolongs even longer.
right? So as a trainer, you need to take all those factors
Mm-hmm.
into account. Okay, no matter how good I want this person to eat, they're probably not going to eat that good, which is fine because everyone's got their own life. But I need to accept that they're probably not going to do exactly what I tell them to do.
Absolutely.
And then I also want to keep them coming to the gym. So I'm not going to run them out of the gym just sweating and dying, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's time and a place for intensity, and it's definitely not all of the time.
Right.
So I'm glad you brought that up.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to wrap this up with a motivational quote. A river cuts through rock not because of its power, but because of its persistence.
With that being said, guys, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or topics you would like us to discuss, please feel free to let us know. We're always looking for some extra stuff to talk about and bring to you guys. And remember, live fit, live well.